Hey everyone, in this video, we'll finish our direct messages by adding a couple extra features. We will add a notification to the receiving user. We will add an error message if they try to create a thread with a user that doesn't exist. And we'll add the ability to upload images in the direct message threads as well. This will just give the messaging app part of our application a few extra features that would be expected in any social network application. And once again, if there's anything specific you would like to see added to this project, let me know. I'm going to try to add everything I can that would be useful or interesting to have in this project. So just let me know below and I'll try to get it added. And with that said, let's get started by adding the notification. So the notification part will be pretty simple. Instead of our models.py and our social app, so down here, we already have everything set up we need. Down here, we have our notification, we have a type and everything else we need here. We just want to add a new type. So in this comment here, I'm just going to add another line to it so we keep this track of this and know where things are supposed to be, or what equals what, I guess. So in this case, a type of 4 will equal a DM. So we'll pass a 4 into our notification type. That's how we'll know this is a notification for a direct message that came through. And so to add this to our application, the first thing we need to do is go into our views and actually create the notification inside of our create message thread, or our create message view, I should say. So down here, we keep going towards the bottom. Right here, we have create message. And so what we'll do here is after we save the message, I'm going to go ahead and just create a notification. So we'll do notification equals, this will be notification.objects.get, and we will, or objects.create. And then we'll go ahead and do a notification type. Now, I should just put this on separate lines to kind of make this a little easier to read. So we'll do a notification type, and this will equal there, and this will equal 4, equals 4. We'll have a from user. This is the user sending the notification, and in this case, this will always be the whoever's logged in currently, because that's who's sending the message. So it'll be request.user. Then we'll have a to user, which will be whoever the receiver is, which we determine that up here in this if statement. So we'll set that equal to the receiver. And then finally, we need to pass the thread in, and this will be just be equal to thread, since we got the thread right up here at the first line. Okay, and that's all we need to add the notification. But since this is a new notification type, we need to go into our template tag, or our template tags, and go into the custom tags.py. And this is where we created the logic to handle our notifications, and we put the template right here inside of this show notification.html. Let's open that template up. And we need to add a new type in here. So what I'll do, so the first thing we do is we check if there's a post on the notification. If there is, we know this is a notification about a post. If that's not the case, we check for a comment, then we know it's a comment notification. And if that's not the case, we have an else here, which is for a follow notification. But we can check one more thing here. We can check if there's not a comment, not a post, but there is a thread, which is what we did inside our views here. We put a thread equals thread, so we have a thread on there. And so we can use that by adding another if statement here and checking for a thread. So what I'll do is I'll come up right here and I'll add an elif. So we'll put our template tags like that, elif, and do notification.thread to check if there's a thread. And inside of here, we can go ahead and create another drop down for the notification. So I'm gonna go ahead and just copy all of this, or I should say drop down item, not the whole drop down, but just the item in the drop down. We'll paste that right there, and we can make a few changes here. So first things first, this post notification needs to be changed. We want to go to a thread notification, which we'll create here in a second. And then inside of here, we're going to pass in just a thread. So I'll delete this right here. Instead of comment.post.pk, we'll do thread.pk. Pass in the pk as a thread. And we'll change this reply to your comment to sent you a message. And then down here, we have our span for our remove notification and the little X button, and that can stay how it is. We go ahead and save that. That's all we should need to do on this page right here. Now we create a thread notification URL. So we'll need to create a view and a URL for that. So let's first create the view. So we'll go into our views.py. Now let's come up by our other notification views right here, and we'll create a new one. So this will be thread notification. And we'll be inherit from our normal view class that we always do. And then inside here, we'll have a get method. So we'll do a def get self request notification underscore PK. We'll have an object underscore PK, and then we'll have a star args and star quarks. And inside this view, all we need to do is do the same thing that we did for these other notification views. We just need to go ahead and get the object. We need to go ahead and mark it as seen, or get the notification object, mark it as seen, and then save that. So all we're doing is just marking this as seen so it doesn't show up in the list of notifications anymore after they click on it or after they hit the X. So instead of typing all this from scratch, I'm going to go ahead and copy this follow notification. We'll make a few changes where we need to instead of here. So now instead of getting a profile, we'll get a thread. This will be thread model.objects.get. Then we'll pass in, instead of profile PK, we'll pass in object PK. So this object PK will just be the primary key of the thread that is a part of this notification, and we'll get the thread object in this line right here. Next, we'll go ahead and mark it as seen, which we already did down here, and then we'll save it. And now in this return redirect, instead of redirecting to the profile, let's redirect back to that thread that has the message. So we'll do a thread, and then we'll pass in object.pk right here. So just as a quick recap, we get the notification from this notification PK. We get the thread from the object.pk. We mark that notification as seen, save it, and then redirect back to whatever thread object is passed in here. So now with that done, let's go ahead and test this out and see how it works. So let's open up a terminal. And first we'll activate our virtual environment. So I'll do an ls. And I'll do source env/bin/activate. And then I'll go ahead and run Python 3 manage.py run server. Let's go ahead and run this application, open up in our browser. We'll go ahead and go to our inbox, and we'll go ahead and add a message saying whatever, send, and it looks like we're getting an error here. Notification got unexpected keyword argument thread. Oh, I bet I forgot to add thread to our models. So we check our notification. Yep, so right now all we have is a post and a comment. Let's go ahead and add a thread field to this as well. So be a thread equals models.foreign key. And in quotes here, we'll put thread. We'll do an on delete equals models.cascade. Related name equals plus to remove the mapping. And then we'll also need a blank equals true and null equals true because we don't always want this field to be filled. We want it to be able to be sent blank as well. Because in this case, if we're creating a message thread, we won't have a post or a comment. And so those will be empty. So you put blank equals true, null equals true on those. And in the case that we had a post or comment notification, this thread field would be empty. So we have the blank and null there as well. So it doesn't throw an error there yet either. Okay, with that done, let's go ahead and save all of our files. Let's go ahead and come back into our terminal. Let's go ahead now and stop the server. Let's run a Python 3 manage.py make migrations. And again, an error here. Social notification thread, field defined relation with model thread. Oh, I put thread. It should be thread model because that's what we called our thread model. Let's go ahead now and try this again. Now let's go ahead and run Python manage.py migrate. And now run our server again. Now let's go ahead and come back to here and try this one more time. So now we have our notifications sent there, our messages sent there. Let's go ahead and now log into our test 5 user and see if we have a notification. Oh, and one more thing I forgot to add here was we never created our URL for our view. Let's go ahead and make that right now. So inside of our text editor, we'll go ahead and go into our URLs. Let's import our thread notification view. Put it right here. We'll put thread notification. Now we'll go ahead and copy our other notification views. We'll copy one of them. We'll just go with, let's go with this one, I guess. It's fine. Go ahead and copy that. And we'll put it right below this one, right there. And this will be notification slash int notification bk slash thread, because we're looking at a message thread, and then object underscore pk right here. And then we'll go ahead and change this to thread notification as view, and name will be thread dash notification. Okay, there we go. Now let's come back here and reload the page. And there we go. Now we have 3. And we have 1 right here for the message. These other ones must just be older ones. I'll just remove those now. But we have this new one right here. Admin sent you a message. We click on it. It takes us to that thread right here. So it's all working great. So now with that done, let's go ahead and move on to the next step, which is adding an error message if the user tries to create a thread with the user doesn't exist. So in our inbox, if we were to create something right now with just some random whatever, hit continue, it fails but doesn't tell us anything. It just takes us back to this page. What would be nice to have is a little error message that shows up right below this text here. So underneath this, that just says username invalid or whatever. And so let's go ahead and add that now. And to do this, this will be pretty simple. We can use the Django messages framework, which is a built-in framework. I'll look it up real quick to show you the documentation. And so we go into the documentation for this. You'll see here, there's a lot on it. You can read more about this. I'll put this in the description so you can read more if you want to. But generally what we're doing here is we're creating a message. So first we'll import it right here, and we'll create a message. And I'm going to do it this way down here. So we'll do messages.error, pass in the request, and pass in our message text. And what Django will do here is it will create these messages, and it will store them for us automatically, and then it will delete them automatically after the user sees them. So after we display it to the user, it will automatically delete it from our messages for us. So it kind of handles all this for us without us needing to really write a bunch of code. We can really just import this and put this line in our code, and it will automatically create a message after whatever happens that triggers a message. And so let's go ahead and add that real quick. We'll go into our views.py first, and let's go and import that. So I'm going to pull that back up. I'm going to grab this line right here from Django contrib import messages. I'm going to copy that, come back into our Sublime text editor, come to the top here. Let's go ahead and import that in here. I'll paste that there. And then down here in our create thread view, which is right here, what happened? So after we hit post right here, we'll look at our form, fill the form with the request data. We'll try these different things. If we can find a user based off what we passed into the form, we'll create the thread. If not, though, it falls down to here. We have an accept and then return redirect create thread. So what we'll do in here is above the return, we'll create a message, and this will display it once we redirect back to this page. So once again, back here, messages.error, request, document deleted. So we'll do something similar. We'll do messages.error, pass in the request, and we'll do invalid user name. And now let's go ahead and add a part into our template where we can actually handle finding these messages and displaying them. So we'll go into our create thread template here. And so what we'll do here is we'll find where we're creating our form at, which is right here. This is our form tag right here. And we'll have some text right here for enter the username for the person you'd like to talk to. I'm going to go ahead and put this, you can put above or below. I'll put it right above it, I guess. Either way is fine. You can put whatever you want. So I'm going to go right above the CSRF token. Or actually, let's go above that. Let's go ahead and outside of our form right here, we'll go ahead and show the messages right here. So I'll go ahead and put 2 curly braces, 2% signs, and I'll do if messages, and messages is passed in automatically to our template, so we don't have to worry about adding this to a context or anything like that. It's already automatically in here by default. So if there are messages, let's go ahead and show them here. And Bootstrap has an alert CSS component already made for us, so we can go ahead and use that. And so what we want to do here is loop through all the messages and display that Bootstrap component for each message. So we'll go ahead and use our Django syntax again here and do for message in messages. And then what we want to do here is if there is a message, we're going to go and create a div, give it a class of alert and alert-danger. For now, all we'll have is just error messages. So we'll just use the alert-danger. I'll have that hard-coded in because we don't need to change that anywhere, at least not for now. And then inside this div here, I'm going to go in to show the message. I can do that by putting 2 curly braces for a variable. Inside here, just type message. Now I'll show the message text. So now let's go ahead and close off this div, close off this for loop, do an end for, and then finally close off the if statement right here. End if. Okay, now if that's done, let's go ahead and test this out. Okay, and now let's go ahead and type in something random in here. Hit continue, and it says invalid username. So that's working well. And so now we have some sort of feedback we can give to the user that shows that this didn't work and that they need to try again. Perfect. Okay, with that done, we can go on and move on to the next step. And this will be the little bit bigger project we want to add. And that'll be adding images to our direct messages. So right now, obviously, there's no way to add an image. There's just this text box. So we'll do something similar that we did to our post. We'll add a little button here that you can press, upload an image, and it will show up on one of these 2 sides of the message based on who sent it and who's receiving it. So like we did on our post, the first thing we'll need to do is go into our forms and make sure our form can handle this. And actually, before we do that, let's go to our models and make sure we added an image field to our models. I don't remember if we did that. Yes, we did. So you already have that image field here, and it's uploading to upload/message photos, which is right here, already set up for us. Okay, so now we can go into our forms and we can add something there. And what we'll do here is right now we have a message form right here, but this is just a forms.form with just one field message. We're gonna make this match our post form. So we're gonna make it a model form, which will make it very easy and simple to save this form in the database. We can say it belongs to this model and to save it as that type of object. And so what we'll do here is we'll have the same thing. We'll have a field for the actual message and a field for the image. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy this, come down here, paste that there. Make sure up here we change form to model form. And then once again with model forms, you need to go ahead and have a class meta inside of the parent class. So we'll do a class of meta. There'll be a model, which will equal thread model. Make sure we import that here at the top. And we also want to add our fields. In this case, it'll be message and image. So down here, we'll put fields equals message, comma, image, and save that. Okay, and now with that added, let's go ahead and update our views.py to be able to save this model form correctly in the database. So we'll go into our views.py. We'll find our create message thread, and we'll come down here and we'll make a couple changes here. So right now, we're not pulling the form in our thread or inside of our view here. So let's go ahead and do that first. Let's go ahead and create a form instance. We'll do form equals message form. We'll pass in request.post, request.files. And once again, I'm just kind of making this match what we did for our posts. And so if you haven't seen that video, go back and watch that one, and this will hopefully make more sense. But we need to just create an instance of our form and pass in the post data and any files. In this case, will be the image we want to upload. Then we go ahead and set the receiver. That's all fine. But now that we have a form here, we want to check if this form is valid. So down here, I'll do if form.is_valid. If it is valid, we're going to go and create a message. And so I'm not going to use this. I'm going to go ahead and delete this. And instead, I'm going to go ahead and set a message equal to the form.save and commit equals false. And then I need to go ahead and add some more fields to this message object. So message.thread equals thread. Message.senderUser equals the request.user, because the request.user is the user that's sending this message. And then we can go ahead and set the receiver user. So do message.receiver_user equals whoever we set as the receiver up here in this code right here. And then finally, with those fields added, we can go and save our message to the database, which we can do that with message.save. Okay, there we go. And now we can go ahead and actually delete this line as well. This is extra from previously. And then we go ahead and have our notification. Then we can go ahead and redirect back to the thread that we were on previously. That's all we should need to do there. We'll go ahead and save that. And that's all we should need to be able to get this form working, although nothing will show up yet. But if we come back into our app here and reload the page, you'll see now we have this image button down here. We can select, we can press it, and we can go and pick an image from the file picker there. But right now, if we send it, nothing will happen. So let's go ahead and make sure we have some sort of HTML code here that can actually show the image. And because this gets a little more different here, I'm going to end up changing quite a bit to the form from we did last time. That will just work a little bit better for this. So let's go ahead and go back into our code and make these changes. So what we want to do here is we want to go to our thread.html. We want to come down here to where we're listing our messages. And so right now, all we're doing is we have a row and a column, and we're either showing the message with it floated to the right or to the left based on who sent it, and with some other styles to make it look a little better with some colors. But we're going to change this a little. Instead of floating left and right, we're going to create columns and offset them instead. So to make edits to this, what we need to do is we have our row and a column, and we check if the user is the sending user that's logged in. If it is, we want to go ahead and show that to the be to the left. So what I want to do now, though, instead of just showing the message's body, I want to check to see if there's an image on this message. So right below this, I'll do if message.image. Make sure you put our parentheses or our percent signs there as well. So if there's a message, we want to go and show that first. So what we'll do here is we'll create a div, a class equaling to, or actually we don't need a class in this. This will be fine just like that. And then inside of here, we'll put an image tag, img src equals, and this will be in quotes. We'll put two curly braces for a variable. And then I'm going to go ahead and get the image URL. I can do that with message.image, and then get the URL is just .url. I'm going to go add a class of message-image, which we'll add some styles to later, and go and close off that image tag. Then we're going to close off this div right below this, just like that. Perfect. And now we'll do an end if to make sure we close off this if statement first. And now we can go ahead and show the actual message body for this post, or for this thread. So go ahead and put that right there. And so all we did here is we just checked if there's a message. If it is, show the message in this image tag. And then no matter what, if there is or it is an image, show this message body below it. And now I'm going to go ahead here and close off this column and create a new one for this elif. So I'm going to go and close off this column right here. And then inside of this elif, I'm going to go ahead and copy this. This will give me a starting point. And inside of this class here, I'm going to go ahead and add an offset of 6. So we'll do, we'll get rid of this margin y. We'll do offset -6, and that will pull it over 6 units of the grid, which will put it on the other side of the screen. And then once again, we want to check if there's an image. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this right here because it'll be exactly the same. Check if there is an image. If there is, show it first. That will go right here. And then if there's not an image, or even if there is, go and show the text below it. Then we'll go and close off that column and also close off that row as well. And then after that, make sure we have our div here, div there. And that should be it for our images, I believe. Let's go ahead and save this now and give it a shot. Oops, we'll do just save. Okay, now let's come back into our browser and give this a shot. Reload the page. And it looks like we have some issue here. It messed up our styles. Let's double check this and see where we messed up at. So it looks like we have way too many closing div text here, because this one right here is matching this one up here. Let's go ahead and remove this. And this one should be fine there. That should be fine there. And that goes to the row, and this is going to the container, I guess, then. So we have one too many there as well. Let's go ahead and remove these extra div tags we don't need. Guess I just put too many in there. Let's go ahead and save that and come back here and try this again. Let's also now add the styles, otherwise it won't look right either. So we gotta make sure we have those so we know when it's looking right. Let's go and jump into our style.css and add a few styles here. We'll come down here to the bottom. And we already have some styles here for our set message, receive message, and all those sort of things. We want to go ahead and change some of these since we're using the column offsets now. So what we'll do here is inside of our set message, we have our background color. Then we have our border radius, padding width. That's all fine like that. Let's go and change our width to 35%. And then for our receive message, we have our background color, our color, a border radius, padding width, and this float. Let's take away the float. Let's go ahead and add 2 more styles. One thing we are probably going to need, though, is probably going to need a container around our messages. So actually, let's add one more class here that I forgot to add. So inside of our thread here, around our received message image, we need to add some styles around that specifically. So we'll find our received message, which would be in this elif statement right here. And we'll go ahead and on our div here, we're gonna add some more classes. So we'll add a message dash receiver dash container, and we'll add an ms dash auto as well, which is a bootstrap style for the margin. Okay, and now with that added, let's go back to our style.css. Let's go ahead and add 2 more classes here. So first we have message container we just added, message receiver container. And this will have a few styles here. What we want to do here is we want to go ahead and set the margin left to auto. And set the margin right to 0. And that will correctly place this image in the correct spot. And then below that, we want to add a message image class. And this will be border dash radius of 10 px. We will add a max width of 35%. And we'll add a height of auto. And so those are all the CSS styles we'll need. Let's go ahead and come back here and reload this page and see what we might need to change. It looks like it's looking pretty good, although there seems to be some issue with how these are aligned. You see they're not in a straight line. They should be. So there must be some other issue inside of our code. So let's go ahead and double check that real quick. So I think the issue here is we're creating this column right here no matter what. And that's not very good because then we'll have these divs will be all off and how they're being closed, which will cause some issues with how it looks. Let's go ahead and grab this message sender if statement right here and put that above this column. That way this is only created, this column is only created if we run this code right here. And if we don't, this will not be created. We'll come down here and we'll create a new column here. Otherwise, we have 2 columns stacked up like that, and it's just going to cause issues with how everything looks. Let's go ahead and try this again. There we go. That looks much better like that. And the only thing missing now is I forgot to set this one or this one over here to 35% as well. We set this at 35%, but this one's still at 25. Let's go ahead and change that real quick. So we'll come back to our CSS file. We'll come down to our receive message width, and this will be 35%. There we go. Now they're all the same size, and it looks a lot much better that way. At least I think it is. You can change it if you don't like it, but that works for now. So let's now go ahead now and test adding an image and see how that works. So we'll go ahead and hit browse, pick an image, and we'll put a test of just to do or whatever, hit submit. And it looks like we're getting an error here. Not null constraint failed, social receiver ID. So I must have been not paying attention to something because this is saying thread model up here, and they should be creating messages. So I made an obvious mistake here inside of my forms.py. So for some reason I put thread model here. This should be message model, not thread model. We're creating a message here, not a thread. Make sure we import that up here. Message model. That should fix that issue. Let's go ahead in here and try that again. So we'll come back here, reload this page. We'll go ahead here and try creating another message again. So with our image, we'll put a message here. We'll go ahead and send message. And it's saying our sender user is not a user object. So what did we pass in there? Well, we've had request.user. We have a comma here. We don't want that comma. Maybe that's the issue. Let's go ahead and try this again. We'll come back one more time, reload the page, pick an image, add a message, hit send message. There we go. All right, so we have our image showing up, but now we're missing our text. So let's go ahead and check what might be going wrong there. So we'll jump back into our forms to start, and we'll just go one by one through this and figure out where we're missing something at. So let's jump into our forms.py, look at our message model, message form here. So we have two fields here, and the issue here is there's no field inside of our model called message. So looking over here, we don't have a message field, we have a body field. So since we send this to a model form, we need to make sure the names of our fields in our form match the names of the field in our model itself. And so we need to make that change there so that we can, so it will save correctly in the database. So let's change both of these models here, these messages here, to body. So do body, and then down here, body. Save that. We'll come back here. Let's reload this page and try this again. To do, let's add an image, and we'll hit send message. All right, there we go. Now everything's working. Wow, okay, so there's a few issues there. Sorry about that. Must have just made a few extra mistakes, but there we go. Everything's working there correctly. And now the last thing I want to do in this video is I want to add one icon to our inbox. So right here, all we have is this text here. It'd be kind of nice to have a little icon next to it, so it just makes it look a little better, I think, than just having this plain text right here. So let's go ahead now and get that added. So we'll use Font Awesome for that. And I already know what the icon name is, so I'm just going to add it in here. So let's go into our Sublime Text Editor. Let's jump inside of our inbox.html. And then we'll go ahead and find, so this H5 right here is where we're actually putting this title in for this thread. So what we'll do here is we'll add the icon right here. So right next to this, I'm going to go ahead and make an I tag, give it a class equaling to FA-envelope, and then inbox-icon right there. And then I'm also going to add an @ right here and an @ right here, just so we know those are usernames, just because I think it looks a little better that way as well. Let's come back here and reload this page. And there we go. Now we have an icon with the names next to it. Let's go and add just a little spacing here so it's not right on top of each other. So we'll jump back into our text editor. Let's go inside of our CSS file. So we'll come down here to our CSS. Now let's go ahead and add one more class. So we called this inbox icon, so we'll add that one right here, .inbox-icon. And inside of here, we'll put a margin of right of just, we'll say 5 pixels, just to give it a little bit of spacing. Come back here, reload the page, and there we go. Now just a little bit extra spacing there. And I think that looks a little better that way than it did before. But that's really it. We have everything working now. We have a notification showing if they type something wrong in here. And we have our direct messages working with image uploads as well. So we have our images uploading with text below it. And that will be it for this video. If there's anything else you'd like to see added, let me know. I'm going to try to add as much as I can. Like I said in the beginning of the video, everything that anyone would want added to this project. But other than that, though, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.